Keefe D said he told Rat James that, look, it's big money in this. Only thing Puffy want to do is pay $1 million to have both of them. He told me that.
So he bragged about ending Shakur's life on camera, and now those same words may send him to prison. For the rest of his life, that's not just a gut punch, that's karma catching up, a boomerang of guilt that has circled back for almost 3 decades. Keefe D, the last man standing, from the night of September the 7th, 1996, once wore his involvement like a gold chain sitting in front of TV crews and podcasters, flashing that half smile telling anyone with a mic that he was in the Cadillac when the shots were fired. In his 2019 memoir, Compton Street Legend, he didn't hide a thing. He named names. His own, his nephew, Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, and even the gun he described how he handed Orlando the .40 caliber just seconds before bullets tore through Shakur's BMW, and for anyone who doubted him, he painted the scene with details only someone who was really there could know, right down to Suge Knight's terrified face as the gun came up.
And good thing he didn't, because even though we was friends, but it paid you, because I got a bullet into my skull, and one of the best friends I ever had in life is Pac.
But Keefe D's biggest mistake wasn't some secret confession or hidden wiretap. He basically signed his own arrest warrant in broad daylight on national TV, in podcasts, in a memoir, and through countless interviews he gave prosecutors the entire story, the timeline, the motive, the method, everything they could ever need, all last wrapped up and handed over willingly. For years he treated the tragedy of Tupac like a trophy, showing it off as if it was some street achievement, calling himself the shot caller. His words, not ours, but now karma's come full circle. Those same interviews, those same clips, every brag, every casual admission are being replayed inside a Nevada courtroom, examined frame by frame. Prosecutors don't even have to dig. They're using his own voice as evidence, every chapter of his book, every video treated like a sworn statement. From the past, the indictment from the grand jury doesn't hold back. It labels Keith, the mastermind, the shot caller, behind a planned hit, a puppet master, pulling strings in the deadly feud between Death Row and Bad Boy, between Shakur and Biggie, West Coast and East Coast, all colliding in Las Vegas, the same city where Tupac took his last breath on the Strip. It's a full circle moment, almost 30 years later, and the irony would be poetic if it weren't so deadly serious.
Satisfied. I don't feel like I've ever embarrassed myself or my people, in nothing I've done. And yet and all, I got the whole world fearing me, you know what I'm saying? At 23, weighing 160 pounds, you know what I'm saying? And I ain't even started. I haven't even rolled my plan out yet, and they scared. I got the vice president know who I am, the president, every cop in every city.
This isn't the first time Nevada's justice system has crossed paths with the Shakur family long before Tupac became the face of rap's greatest unsolved mystery, his mother Afeni. Shakur was fighting her own war. In 1969, Afeni pregnant, with Tupac sat in a jail cell on Rikers Island, facing 300 years behind bars as part of the Panther 21, accused of conspiracy. In a system built to crush her, she represented herself, fought for her freedom and her unborn son, and won, but not before the state showed just how far it would go when it saw a threat. Now, decades later, that echo returns. As Keith D is led into a Nevada cell, the clock seemingly spinning backward, and here's where the story cuts even deeper. His new home mirrors the same. Nightmare Tupac once described Rikers Island a place that became shorthand for American incarceration at its worst. Sewage in the hallways, mice crawling through bunks, water flooding the floors, guards selling weapons to inmates, and violence so constant it's become background noise. A federal judge recently called it a place of grave and immediate danger where real harm happens daily. 33 people have died in custody since 2022 when Jada Pinkett Smith visited Tupac there. She later wrote that seeing him inside those walls was one of the most painful moments of her life. Tupac himself once told Vibe that being locked up there felt like sitting in a room with good and evil, both waiting for him to slip. This wasn't punishment, it was a place designed to break the human spirit.
Humans are not just good and bad, black and white. They're compassionate at times. They're at times. A man can be compassionate to women at the same time. I was. Look at the lunatic and look at Brenda's got a baby.
Now, the man who once laughed about watching Shakur's fear up close is living his own nightmare. Inside Nevada custody, Keefe D is trading one kind of street legend for another, the kind no one brags about, where power means nothing and fear is the only currency. It's dark irony, the same bravado that made him famous. The stories that built his name in the underworld are now the evidence sealing his fate. His voice, once a weapon for his myth, now turned against him with surgical precision. But this isn't just about one man or one case. This is a reckoning that cuts through the entire industry. Music gangs, justice, even politics. The night Shakur was shot wasn't just a street feud. Insiders and former detectives have said on record that silencing Tupac was a $1 million plan, ordered by rival moguls, arranged in meetings where no one thought the law would ever reach. We've all heard the names Diddy, Suge Knight, the Southside Crips, thrown around. Keefe D's own words have pointed fingers everywhere but himself, and now with his life on the line, that street code is cracking. As one former FBI agent said, once someone's in cuffs, they'll sell out their own mom. And that's what's happening now. Decades of silence, traded for a shot at a lighter sentence, or one last word. Sources close to the case claim Keefe D has already started talking as the walls close in on others who once thought they were untouchable. We know he admitted to passing the gun, but the deeper motive and the chain of command still hang in the air, and now whispers say the Vegas grand jury is just the start. There's talk that the recent raids on Sean Diddy Combs' properties are tied, at least in spirit, to what Keith has begun revealing. Behind bars, the old alliances are breaking, and each new leak raises the same haunting questions. Who gave the order, who paid, and who's next?
These 3 law firms on retainer. I don't know how much money is coming in, but I know that a lot of money is going out every single month for Diddy.
Shakur's sister Sekwa called the arrest a pivotal moment, but the silence from the rest of the community says everything. This story stopped being just about guilt a long time ago. It's about legacy of Feeney. Shakur once fought to free her people now. Years later, activists are raising money to free black mothers from the same kind of cages that marked Afeni's pregnancy. It's a cycle that never really closes, it just tightens. So what does Keefe D have left for years? His name was built on street talk stories that danced between truth and myth. But now those same words are being turned into evidence. His voice. Once his protection is now his downfall. The question isn't whether he can shape the story. It's whether he can survive it. Because in that courtroom, every old interview, every podcast, every quote is being replayed. Like a curse, his entire legend is unraveling in real time. And as the truth creeps closer, another ripple forms. Will Keefe D's fall finally break the silence around the others? Or will the secrets of that night stay buried behind bars, tempting fate? one confession at a time.
He said it was, according to him, he said it was security that accepted money, participated in it, and it was so-called homies.
Shakur's sister Sekwa called the arrest a pivotal moment, but the silence from the rest of the community says everything. This story stopped being just about guilt a long time ago. It's about legacy of Feeney. Shakur once fought to free her people now. Years later, activists are raising money to free black mothers from the same kind of cages that marked Afeni's pregnancy. It's a cycle that never really closes, it just tightens. So what does Keefe D have left for years? His name was built on street talk stories that danced between truth and myth. But now those same words are being turned into evidence, his voice. Once his protection is now his downfall. The question isn't whether he can shape the story. It's whether he can survive it. Because in that courtroom, every old interview, every podcast, every quote is being replayed. Like a curse, his entire legend is unraveling in real time. And as the truth creeps closer, another ripple forms. Will Keefe D's fall finally break the silence around the others? Or will the secrets of that night stay buried behind bars, tempting fate, one confession at a time?
He's saying that, Diddy, he put a hit out on you and Tupac, and that's the reason why Tupac got in Vegas. So, yeah, man. How you feel about that?
Well, first thing first. I mean, that conversation been out there. He put his truth out there. A lot of other people put their truth.
Outside the courtroom, the danger cuts even deeper if the state is feeding on Keefe D's words. The streets are hungrier. Insiders close to the old Compton set say the tension is building fast. Everyone who once ran with that crew is watching. They're back because the same words being used as evidence in court are also being replayed in alleys and phone calls. Where silence used to be sacred, the code he broke on camera doesn't just carry legal weight, it carries street consequences. Every name he dropped, every story he embellished, is now a target map, and the people tied to that past know it won. Insider said straight up, there's no protection for someone who talks, especially when the talk brings the cops. Back to your block. Keefe D isn't just facing the system anymore. He's facing the very world he once bragged about controlling.